when we talk about the midship now, this is where this boat starts to get a little interesting.
It
and
does.
I like this layout
Yeah.
that I mentioned before.
It's so well laid out. I love the layout.
Well, it's a little bit of a different layout than
It
what
is.
you're used to. But then it got me thinking, like, I kind of see how that works well.
Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today we're going to be talking about windy boats and foreign power conversion.
Foreign power conversion.
Foreign power conversion. Before we begin, hit the little like button. If at the end of the episode you still like it, leave it there. But if you don't, go ahead and take it back. Also, leave a comment and let us know if you've ever had any issues with the power subject that we're going to be talking about, foreign power conversion. And you'll see exactly what we mean when we get to it. But to kick it off, let's start talking about windy boats.
So windy boats, the SR38.
Yes, the SR38.
I gotta say, now that I've actually done my homework on this one, I haven't been on this boat yet, but I've done a fair amount of research because after I read the article, I had to go to the website and actually look at this boat and look at all the pictures and the diagrams. And
It's so well laid out. I love the layout.
it's a little bit of a different layout than
It
what
is.
you're used to. But then it got me thinking, like, I kind of see how that works well.
Yeah, I
And
really
I kind of
liked it.
liked it. Yeah.
I really liked it.
I thought it was very interesting. So what we're talking about, the SR38 is a, 42
It's
feet?
42 feet length overall, 13 feet, 1.5 inch beam.
So this is not a small boat by any means. It's pretty much a nice kind of express cruiser,
Right.
Or sport cruiser. But it has some power options that come with it. So you can get two different style of outboards. You can either get twin Yamaha 450 XTOs, or you can get twin Mercury 400 V10 Mercury Verados, or
You can get inboards.
you can get inboards, which are Volvo D6s.
Right. I thought that was really crafty. They give you the option of having two outboards or an inboard. Like, as far as helping people that have different preferences on power and propulsion, you have the option no matter what your preference is. I thought that was a really thoughtful approach when it came to power on the vessel.
It really was. It's interesting to see that option. I like it. Lets you know that they consider a lot of different things in the design of the boat, but as well as how people are going to utilize their boat. Very interesting. Good for them.
Yeah.
Kudos to that.
And I know with the engine options, you can get up to 48 knots.
With the Yamahas, you could get up to 48 knots.
That's what it was.
And then the Mercuries were a little less, and then the Volvo inboards were a little less than that.
Right. But it's different when you're looking at diesel engines. You're probably not looking at
Fuel efficiency is a much different aspect once you get into diesel.
Yes.
Correct. The other thing is, now let's look at this boat as we move through it, right? So let's go from the transom all the way forward, including the down below. So just to start with the transom, obviously you have the outboards or the inboards, right? To start there. But you also have the bulwarks that fold down. I always like this design because now you're like doubling the square footage of your cockpit.
Right.
Right, which is excellent.
Yes.
Also in the cockpit is a large sun pad, which is also, if you have the outboards, a storage area,
That's right.
right? But if you have the inboards,
And that's where the inboards go.
guess where the inboards are going.
Yeah. Now, what I loved about that was at first I had to see the picture to really visualize it, but it really does add a lot of space to the cockpit. But it also makes it very easy to transition between the cockpit and the midship seating area.
Yep.
But before we start talking about that and going that way, there's a walkabout. So you can get to the bow walking around either side of the vessel. And I thought, given that this is really a family kind of multifunctional vehicle or multi-purpose sport boat, I really liked that element.
Right. So if you're going to go up, you have a problem with the windlass winch, you need to go up to the bow. It's very easy to walk up there. You're not trying to do any, acrobatics trying to get up there.
Right.
Very safe, very practical, very easy, and that's important.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the midship now, this is where this boat starts to get a little interesting.
It
and I
does.
like this layout
Yeah.
that I mentioned before. So midship, you have all of the seating in this boat. And it's a lot of seating when you look at it, actually.
It's a ton of seating.
So it's like a U-shaped design with seatings both port and starboard with a table in the middle, right? And then there's also another section that almost creates like a U-shaped, but it's got brakes in it so you can walk through.
Right.
Right? And then after that, which is between midship and the helm, you now have your summer kitchen.
Right.
Or a galley area, an outside galley area, right? And I gotta say, where that was positioned, when I read it at first, I was like, really? There? Right there?
Right.
I was like, that's a little different. Then I started looking at all of the pictures of how this boat's actually laid out, and I was like, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
It really opens up this boat as you moved aft for entertaining.
Exactly. It opens it up. I think, yeah, you said it better than how I was going to say it, so I'll just stop talking. It opens it up for entertaining. It's like this open space concept that you don't expect, but it just hits you in the face like, hey, here you go. You have all this space to entertain everyone that you love. Like, I thought it was awesome.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, and then getting into the helm station. And this is, again, another area that I actually tend to like quite a bit, more than I thought I was going to.
Right.
Because you have, on starboard, you have twin captain's chairs.
Yes.
Right? And then on port, you have a single captain's chair. So there's 3 captain's chairs there, which is nice for a family of 3 or whatever. But, you know, it's more seating, it's more space, really well appointed. They're designed in a specific style that kind of gives it more of that modern look to it. And then the helm station itself, it's got a nice big screen, MFD on it, and then just everything you could ever think of, right? And it's got a nice usability design to it, right? So now if we move even further forward.
Well, before we move forward, so one thing that I liked about the helm area was the sliding panels.
Yeah.
So that you can access the walk around.
Yeah, so exactly. You had the sliding panels there. And then also, did you notice in the summer kitchen that part of it had a fold down table?
No, I didn't notice that.
So one of the areas has a table off the side of the cabinet that folds up like this. So it doubles your countertop space.
That's awesome.
And then it folds away so that
you
you get
have
to those walkways.
Space to move, yeah.
So it's really interesting, right? They're using their space very well on this boat.
Very well.
And it's just really, really interesting. So now going below, right? Going below, this boat reeks of European design. It's really Scandinavian style design.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Very simplistic, very airy feeling, very open.
And for those that don't know, Windy Boats is a Scandinavian.
It is a Scandinavian brand.
Right.
Absolutely.
It comes from a city whose name I can't pronounce. I am sorry to everyone from that area. No. Do you know what it is?
Well, I know that they are used to. So, okay. So
I threw you off.
You threw me off a little bit. But Hugo Vold, who established the brand, his father was a fisherman, right? And he used to fish in the Skagerrak, okay, which is an area in between Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. And it's known for being not the best conditions all the time.
It's pretty rough up there.
Yeah, it's very rough. So the original, where he got the name Windy from, was his father's boats were all named Windy, which translates to windy to us in English. But Windy was the name of all of his boats. That's where he got the name Windy from. But also it speaks to what he was thinking of as far as designs and practicality and how to use this boat. It needs to provide a safe passage back to shore.
Right.
And very important. We all look at that, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You want a safe vessel.
Yeah.
But again, it also means that build quality is at its highest,
right?
Because to handle that type of abuse that area can give to a boat has to be very well constructed.
And to bring us back to the point that you were making before this, that means that the design elements on the interior are going to be the down below are going to be European in nature, knowing full well that you're going to be dealing with that. Right?
Exactly right. So, and then you also have 2 choices down below. You can have the U-shaped settee, or you can have a fixed berth.
Yeah.
Correct. Which to me, come on, do you want the fixed berth? But then also it has a head with a separate shower. I mean, I've said it a million times. I'm not a wet head kind of guy.
Right.
I'd rather have a separate shower if I could.
Wet heads to me seem more like activity focused, right?
Yeah.
It seems activity focused to me. And these vessels are more cruising focused, which pairs really well. Yeah.
So moving through this boat, it's got the hardtop. I think the hardtop is what really kind of makes me interested in this design. If you look at the hardtop, it's a nice even sweep back.
Right.
So if you are adventurous and you want to take your paddle boards, your canoes, whatever it is,
you have everything you need.
You can do that. And Scandinavians are very adventurous people.
So I would say you definitely want to, I'm going to put the link in the description. You definitely want to look at this vessel. You want to check it out because it is impressive in many areas that are important to boaters. So definitely check that out in the description. And we're going to move on to the next subject.
Yeah, but I'm going to throw you for a loop. Are you ready?
What?
We have to make sure that we go get some video of this boat at Fleb's.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be on this boat.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
me too. So subscribe to the channel and make sure that you catch that video after we get footage of the boat in person. So foreign power conversion. This was a really interesting read, mostly because I'm not like a closeted nerd. I love science. I love technology. I love all of that. And it was, this is a subject matter that I know impacts a lot of boaters, but it's not something I had researched previously.
Well, it's not something that a lot of people think of. So what we're going to talk about is if you're out boat buying and you find that must-have boat, but it's for European power,
right,
and not for American power, what does it take to convert? This is an important fact because you might fall in love with something and you need to know all that it's going to take to convert it over and or what your other options are if you don't convert it. And that's exactly what this article goes off. So just to start with, the difference in power. So power that we have both in Europe and here is AC power, alternating current. Alternating current means that it works in waves. So you have to have a hertz level that goes along with it. So in Europe, they are 230 volts at 50 hertz. In the United States, we are 240 volts at 60 hertz. So there is a difference there.
I would say to most people that difference might not sound like a lot, but as far as electricity is concerned, it's a huge difference.
It's a massive difference.
It can cause a lot of problems if those two aren't synced. If what you're connecting is not synced to the same voltage and hertz, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. And with electrical, that could mean some very bad problems like fire.
Yes.
Right? Nobody wants that.
No.
Nobody would wish that on anybody. Some of the options are, if you're going to convert your boat completely, then it is a lot of work. And this article goes over all of that to convert it, what it goes into. And I mean, what it goes into is changing some settings on your generator if it's capable of it, number one. Number two, all of your appliances on board, like your air conditioning, your stovetop, your refrigerator. You have to make sure that they're capable of converting to the new power source and what wiring changes you might have to do that. And if they're not, what is the cost of replacing that individual piece of equipment?
You also have to consider the onboard circuit breaker.
Yep.
You have to consider pretty much everything that is connected to do a permanent conversion to the new power, power intake. You have to look at every element that takes power and to make sure that one, it's capable of conversion, and two, that you have all of the elements within to actually make the conversion. And like you said, that's wiring, actual technology itself, that's everything.
That's every last little bit.
Right.
Everything that receives power, you would have to check through.
Yes.
Because even going down to the outlets, yes, between European and American look different. But the biggest difference is an outlet for a European will still be at 230, 50 hertz, where a United States or a U.S. power outlet is 120 volts. So we step it down quite a bit. Right.
Which people don't realize. Yeah. Okay, so next, if you're not doing a permanent conversion or you're saying, okay, well, what other option is there? Adaptive shore power. And that is installing the ASEA, a sea power system. And essentially you mount it to your boat and you use this specifically to help the process of not having to do everything for a permanent change, but still being able to convert the power effectively.
Right. So you can still run with your current refrigerator system, your AC,
everything as
your
is.
Stove, everything.
And the one thing you have to keep in mind when it comes to this, though, is if a piece of technology breaks, like let's say the TV stops working, you can't just buy the replacement, the US version. You have to buy the European version.
You're not running down to your local appliance store and replacing something.
Exactly.
It's not like you can go to Walmart and buy a new TV.
Right.
No, sorry.
So you have to take that into consideration. Now getting the power is easier, right? But if there's any mishap that you have to replace something, that part is going to cause probably a couple of headaches. That's just put it plainly.
And then there's the battery option, direct current.
Right.
And that option's a little bit different as well. So that is more along the lines of powering your batteries and using the power out of your batteries at all times.
And the direct current option is kind of easier because you might have to learn a different system, but you don't have to make any kind of exchanges of any sort.
Well, no, you don't.
Right? Because DC, direct current, is just...
DC is DC.
Yeah.
It's direct.
It is what it is.
It's exactly like its name. It's called
direct current for a reason.
AC and DC are pretty
alternating current, direct current, yes.
Right.
So here's the thing. I want you to go read this article because it has details that you have to understand if you're making this consideration that is put so well for you to understand that if you don't read it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
The other thing is when you're buying one of these boats and you don't know what it takes, make sure to get your survey. And included in your survey, make sure that you get an electrical certified survey.
That's right.
Right? So you know exactly what you're dealing with. And then if you are going to do some of these changes, these are changes that I would not recommend doing yourself.
So
I think this is more along the lines of hiring a professional.
Even if you think of doing certain elements on your own, check with your insurance because your insurance might require a certified marine electrician to do the work.
Correct.
So you have to cover all your bases, check with your insurance, see what they recommend, and follow that course. And that might mean this isn't a DIY project for you. It might mean that it is. But even then, I would recommend having an electrician assist in the process because it's really not something that you want to mess up.
No. Yeah, you'll be really upset if you bought your favorite boat.
Yeah.
You went this far of a length and now you got major problems.
Exactly.
Like you can't insure your boat.
Right.
Right? What are you going to do then? Then you have to go back and pay somebody to redo the work you already did?
Right.
Oh, man,
now,
that makes you upset.
Now, obviously, it's all doable, right? It's all doable. But we want you to keep in mind, by reading this article, all the factors that you have to consider before you say yes to buying that vessel.
Absolutely. So for now, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
Make sure to come back and check us out next week. All right. Did you notice that your phone vibrated at the same time you clapped?
Yeah, but that's because I got a notification. Yeah, no, I don't have that power. I can't make things vibrate on command.
I don't know. I mean, you like unicorns and stuff. Maybe I thought you had magical powers.
Yeah, that's not how that works. I used to get embarrassed about my stomach growling, right? Especially in quiet environments, like in college, you're taking tests and your stomach starts to growl. You're just like, oh, So what I would do is whenever I felt like my stomach was about to growl, I would just flex my abs down onto my stomach and it would suppress the growl. And I was like, this is incredible. I wonder if anyone else knows this hack.
You have to try that.
Yeah, it's a real life hack, man. It works about 90% of the time. Sometimes you're that hungry and the growl still comes out. But most of the time, like, you can suppress the growl by, like, flexing your abs onto your stomach. Like, raw. I had to add the raw.
You are special.